All right, we're back, and I'm sitting here with, God, I have no memory, folks, and I put my paper away. Lucy Walker and Helen Clark. I did it. God, I'm sorry about that. It's just the way my brain works. All right, and we're going to be talking about civic ensembles on the corner, which is going to be replayed, and it's an important high-impact play. It's going to be starting on the 19th, 21st, and 22nd, 7 p.m., and Sunday at 2 o'clock, and that's going to be at Beverly J. Martin Elementary School Library. And it's free. But let me start here with Lucy. Mm-hmm. How did you get to Ithaca, Lucy?
Well, I came to IC for my undergrad, which I got to by family friends keep telling me that Ithaca was this beautiful hippie place that I would like to move.
Really?
Up in Baltimore, yeah. And then I keep sort of coming back to work with Civic Ensemble, so maybe staying longer this time.
So you're from Baltimore?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
It's not as cold there.
No. Actually, I went to the University of Maryland College Park, but
yep,
that was back in the tear gas days of 69 to 74. So actually, I'm just thinking. I'm just really glad you picked Ithaca College.
Good. I'm glad too.
Yeah. And how did you get here, Helen?
The sort of short answer of a long answer is I was a professional actor. I was an artist in residence at a theater company in the Berkshire Theater Festival. And I wanted a similar life. I didn't want to go to New York because I'm just not I love visiting New York, but 3 days is my limit there.
You can't live in Brooklyn with all the other actors that are trying?
No, I just need more access to openness and nature. Yeah, I just do. So I was just researching areas that had regional theater with theaters that have educational programs, and I found the Hangar Theater. So I have ties to the area as well. My parents went to IC, my grandfather went to IC, so I just moved up here on a whim, and that was in 2006. So,
so you're here.
I am here. Yeah,
okay.
We're almost at your 10-year anniversary.
Almost, yay!
Wow. Okay, well, we'll have to have you on, and we'll bring in all the 10-year anniversaries. Okay.
Celebration.
I don't want you to tell us anything we shouldn't know, but what's it like to work with Godfrey and Sarah?
The Greek god Janus, they're like two heads for one door. It's kind of like working like that. So that's where January comes from. So it's kind of like that it's interesting because the passion is the same, the ideas are the same, but there are two faces for that idea. So, you could be working and it's just really, it enlivens the rehearsal experience because Godfrey will work, come and say something to you, which she'll try. And then Sarah's like, what are you doing? I like that. And, and it's like this,
yeah, they're good partnership.
It's a really interesting, partnership. Because I've worked with two directors directing one show before, and it's a nightmare because they have two completely different ideas. Their egos are all tied up into it. So working with two people with very similar visions
but different methods, yeah.
But very different methods, yeah.
I think the one thing I could definitely can say is whenever you see Godfrey or Sarah or together, they make you smile.
Oh yeah,
it's just it's fun. Now, what you're doing is extremely vital, I feel, in terms of every community has issues where there's racial boundaries and there's information that isn't known by one group or another about the other. Watching what just happened in Missouri is totally amazing to me.
Yeah.
Where the faculty and the football team and the students, and the football team has got everybody's attention real quick, got the president fired because of racial statements and attitudes. That just happened. But the beauty of it is to see when he stepped down, large crowds of students of all races and the football team, all races, hugging each other because they really accomplished something important. But the other side of it, it was a subtle thing that what they learned from this experience. So I would like you to talk a little bit about On the Corner first, because that is what it's about. It's about how do you learn from one another. So who would like to take it?
I'll try. I think what you're saying is a lovely way to go into it, because the community-based plays, which we've been having one a year, are really made about what the community cares about and is thinking about. So last summer we did Safety, which was about community-police relations, because that was not only a hot-button issue in the whole country, but in Ithaca we had several incidents. And so I really like that this year we're doing this play, because it's an extension of that, but it's also things like what's going on in Missouri, some stuff that's going up in my alma mater on South Hill, and it's very relevant. But anyway, so it's relevant to all those things, the big things, but it's also so Ithaca. Like, it's set in Ithaca, there's Ithaca-style jokes, like the people are from all these different parts of the Ithaca community, which we love. And so, like, it's playing both of those, the national and the local, which I adore.
Would you like to add something to that?
Sure. Well, one thing I really like about the play is it not only gives you information, it kind of shows how one goes about actually attempting to, dare I say, solve this, which is...
like, rectify their own information.
Right, which is, we don't have the luxury of having a guided chorus take us through history to show us how all these...
You don't have a time travel?
No, it's on my Christmas list. But you put down, you stop talking, you look and you listen, because there's a lot of talking heads, which is part of the problem. And that's something I've actually noticed. And I think, it's the last part of the play, which is, it's not a call to action in terms of a go storm the castle. It's a call to action in terms of talk with someone you don't know about what you just saw and what you're going to do about that. And that, for me, that's, some people say that happens after the show. That's part of the show. That's like act 3.
Well, when people lean over in the audience, they're like, "Did you know that?" And like, that's great that they are so moved by what they're learning from
right, absolutely. And so it's a combination of giving the audience an opportunity to talk about it, but for me it also shows this is how you go about this, is you put down the boxing gloves, you stop talking, you like look and listen, and you learn about how this, because there's so many talking heads right now.
Yeah, which is great, because that's not only what the characters in our play are doing, but it's also what the cast has been doing as they've met each other and become close and learn to understand each other, and then it's what the audience is doing with the cast, which is great.
Layers. A lot of layers, yeah.
So, let me put in the plug again here. It's at Beverly J. Martin Elementary School Library, starting on the 19th. It's going to be Thursday and Saturday at 7 o'clock and Sunday at 2 p.m.
And it's free.
And it's free. That's a good thing right there. Is there an age limit on the bottom in terms of how old you should be before you...
We've been saying like maybe 12, like early middle school, but we have people who brought their elementary school kids, and the kids have liked it, and kept their parents up talking about it when they left.
I mean, there are
a few scenes.
There are a few scenes. There's a very heartbreaking one at the beginning of the play involving the slave market and not holding back from the fact that children were auctioned there and separated from their parents. I'm like tearing up.
That scene is painful to watch.
It's very painful. Yeah. I mean, I'm backstage and I can feel it. And that one's really hard. The S word gets dropped a few times, although I've been told like that is the new D word. I don't know what I can say on radio. So I'm just going to go through the alphabet.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And just in case Felix is listening.
But I know people who have brought, their a mature 8-year-old who they've already been having these conversations, and these 8-year-olds are already asking questions, and this has sort of proved to there might be some of the talking that goes over their heads, but I work with children and I study children, and they know much more than we give them credit for.
Yeah. Not meaning to disrespect any other elementary schools, but Beverly J. Martin really does work their kids into very important issues early on. I mean, that's part of the theme of the school.
If you walk around the library, you're just I went to a lovely elementary school, but I was like, we didn't have all these kinds of books. You can even see it in the library.
Well, the parent involvement and the teacher involvement's incredible there, and it's in terms of my personal experience with my son was he was hanging out with dysfunctional Vietnam veterans as a baby because I was working with him. And he went to demonstrations, the Gulf War. He was 3 when the demonstrations in D.C. to protest that. And he was around, I had a bunch of Iraq and Afghanistan vets that I was with. And the language was relatively interesting. And some of the intoxicating behaviors were kind of interesting. But the thing was that he's teaching history now in the South Bronx, and he loves it, and his kids love him, and
So
he
it stuck with
learned
him.
by being exposed to
Yeah.
all this early on. He went to daycare at my high school, which we had 30 infants and toddlers there, pretty much from Harlem and Washington Heights. And that's who he hung out as a kid. So I don't know if the too early thing is very interesting. I guess each parent has to look at their individual child.
Yeah, but kids definitely get it. And
Yeah.
Right. Well, I ran into, I was at South Hill Elementary School for a meeting involving my job, and I ran into Principal Little, who's very, her daughter we have the BJM chorus is at the beginning of the show. They open the show singing. And, and she had said, how the kids get it. We had like a little talk about the play before we had to separate. But,
yeah, and we have like the QMEP dancers are also in the show.
Okay.
Who are run by Nia, and it's great because like some of those people have stayed and watched the show 3 times. Like they know what's in.
Okay.
They've been to our rehearsals. But the fact that like elementary, middle school, and then some college students like want to keep watching the show and see what they get from it has been lovely.
Tell me just a little aside there. The QMET dancers?
It's the Community Unity Music Education Program,
Okay.
shortened as QMEP.
And is that located at BJM or Southside?
No,
or?
they run out of
South.
a bunch of spaces, but
Okay.
Southside is their main. And they have a lot of programs, but this one is a sort of dance music. And over the summer, they had a camp, and they learned this dance, and then made it into our show, which is, it's awesome. It's
That's
a great
neat.
dance.
That's neat. So, is the show more towards police community relations, or is it more about just general?
from my standpoint, it starts with police relations because that's kind of how the topic of racism has reemerged in our societies. It started with police relations, but then if you look at Facebook, the conversations there going into like how racism is ingrained in our culture,
And the historical aspects.
how historically it's been there this whole time, what racism looks like now, the white quote unquote ally who thinks that they're not the problem but actually is the problem.
There's a great little scene at the beginning of that, yeah.
So I mean the play kind of in this condensed, starting with an incident in Ithaca, it mirrors what's been happening in society. It starts with a police relation with a person of color, and then it becomes a much bigger conversation from this one incident.
But that is the starting point.
Yeah.
But I think the thing, like one of the things I love about this show is that, like that's part of the show because that's where we came from with safety. There's a lot of there's history stuff in the show. There's lots of things about family, but it's like people come and they're like they see something in it that they get. Like even if you're not like the characters, like we had a night where I had like people I know from Loaves and Fishes, and then we had like a bunch of guys who just come off their construction site and were covered in dust, and then like grandmas and like elementary school kids, and the fact that they each like maybe they didn't agree with all of it, really to all of it, but that they left and they were like, that was like well-rounded and not propaganda, and I'm glad I saw that, and it's made me think about all these things. Like that made me really happy. Not to toot our own horn, but I was very happy.
Yeah.
So,
And it's I think what's neat about what Civic Ensemble is doing is it's allowing us to step outside of our own personal histories. Like we
is
are,
hopefully what theater does.
we are where we grew up. Our initial friends were carrying all that, and it's and then your family, what you learn from your grandparents. It took me, I had grudges against Anglo-Saxons for a long time. I grew up in a very Irish family, and my grandfather said, color folks are okay, but be very careful with prots.
Wow.
With prots, and I mean, that was his experience.
Yeah.
Because when he was a kid, Irish weren't allowed to walk on the sidewalks in Rochester, New York. And that was probably true in a lot of places. So it was, he was an interesting old character. But you also get the neighborhood you run in. I grew up kind of in a mixed neighborhood, but it was heavily Protestant. But I went to a Catholic high school, and that was sort of re-ingrained. And the funny thing in my particular case is I had friends that were black, but they were, and I thought they thought of them as friends. But I didn't really know what their experience was until I had friends in Vietnam who were black. And we had the time to really go deep. And when I went back home, after a while, I ran into one of my buddies that I grew up with. And he just said to me, it wasn't important to me to teach you about me. It was what was important was
Yeah.
that we were friends. So it's time and place. And I really like the talking circles here in Ithaca. I think they're invaluable. But the others, go.
Just the talking circles are run by Multicultural Resource Center.
I think so.
Yeah.
They're going to be the people orchestrating our post-show stuff this time around.
Oh, good.
So if you come to any of the shows, they're going to be doing their great skills with the talking circles afterwards, and there will be snacks.
Okay, and that's...
Sorry, Jim, I interrupted you.
What are the snacks?
They're provided by Green Star, so I don't perfectly know.
They're going to be good.
But like, they're going to be good.
There's
Green
going to
Star
be
is
chocolate.
coming.
There's going to be chocolate in there,
So
I can tell.
I tell you, come for the snacks, stay for the conversation.
Anybody from Green Star, go easy on the kale, heavy on the chocolate. Okay. This is November 19th, 21st, and 22nd at Beverly J. Martin Elementary School. It's free. Thursday and Saturday are 7 p.m. shows. Sunday is 2 in the afternoon. It might not be a bad idea to reserve a seat. Civicensemble.org or 607-241-0195, just to make sure there's room for you. But again, this is Sarah Chalmers and Godfrey Simmons in collaboration with the community and the two fine actors that I have sitting in front of me. So, is this your first? How many have you done? More than one play with Civic Ensemble?
Yes.
Which ones did you do? Let's see.
I was in their first. It was called To Frack or Not to Frack. It was commissioned by the Science Center. And it was a piece designed to educate children on what fracking is, what the two sides are, so they could form their own conclusions.
It was super cute.
It was, it was fun. So it was three of us. It was Sarah and myself and Civic's associate artistic director, Jennifer, played all the characters. And there were a lot of moments, there was a lot of interaction, Joker method, that sort of thing, of kids getting to be part of it. Kids getting to ask questions and actual conversation going on. So the goal was for kids to make their own, so they understand why fracking is an issue with the different sides. So I did that. And then I got busy with grad school, and then I got less busy with grad school. And so I acted for, in some of the plays written through their ReEntry program last year. And then this summer we did the Storm Trilogy to commemorate Hurricane Katrina. So I've done, like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think most people, Katrina was one of those things that it's really difficult for people to fathom unless you were there or unless you went there. I went there with Iraq, Afghanistan, and Vietnam vets, and we mucked houses shortly after. And the fact that people survived was incredible, and how they were forced to survive becomes the political reality of having racism a major key in our society. And people were devastated and then insulted. I mean, it was. And I also visited there was 2 high schools open out of about 20 high schools, and all the kids that stayed went to those schools, and they were devastated, but they showed up every day right on time for school, and. The teachers lost everything too. So it was something that we can't forget. And that's not just about the storm, because there's going to be more of those, but how we react to the storm. Okay. I think I would, if it's all right with you, I'd like to put music on.
Sure.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing?
Oh, certainly.
This isn't about On the Corner, but we're starting another program in January, which is ReEntry. It's our second time around. We did it last time, and it was amazing. They sold out the hangar. Anyway, so it starts in January. You can get more information about it on our website, but basically it goes for 8 weeks, I think, 2 months, and you get a stipend for doing it, and it's open to anyone who's come out of incarceration. It's really a job opportunity, but you're also getting to connect with your community and create art. And so if anyone is interested in that, which is a little separate from On the Corner, you should check out our website and apply. We'd love to have you.
Okay, I'm back real quickly. Whoever just called, I'm sorry I missed you. I promise to talk to you. It'd be very easy if you call back in about 15 minutes, okay? I don't mean to put you off, but I'm really glad you called. Let me do a quick plug on that, too. This is our fundraiser. The telephone number is 607-319-5445 or WRFI.org. I'm in the middle of an interview, and I would love it if you call me in about 15 minutes to 20 minutes and make your pledge to keep us on the air, because we have wonderful people that come in here as our guests and really, really are important in our community. So a big shout out to Helen and to Lucy for being here today, representing Sarah and Godfrey and the important work of Civic Ensemble. Okay, our fundraiser prize sheets for today. Package number 1 is a $25 gift certificate to Angry Mom Records. Don't be scared by the name. It's not Angry Moms. There's no Angry Moms there. Basically, there's hippies. And that's added to a $30 gift certificate from Autumn Leaves. Fortunately, we have this incredible bookstore on the Commons, too. So that's $25 to Angry Mom and $30 from Autumn Leaves. Spend the day, go up to the cafe, get a good cup of coffee. He's got great coffee there. And that's one choice. An all-access pass to the Ithaca International Fantastic Film Festival. $80 value. You can go to everything. It's November 11th to the 15th. It's at Cinemapolis. It's at Community School for Music and Art. Wide range of films fitting under the fantastical umbrella. The list you can find at the IthacaFilmFestival.com. And the third package is 2 bottles of cider from Eve's Cidery and 1 bottle of Pomu. I hope I'm not saying that right, am I?
Of what?
Pommeau.
Pomo.
Okay, thank you. They're not only actors, but they also know language. Okay, and that's from the South Hill Cidery, from South Hill Cider. So you got Eve's Cidery and South Hill Cidery. You got cider. This is just, again, the South Hill Cider is 4 bottles. It's a blend of apple spirits. That sounds interesting, especially if you're religious. Eau de vie. Probably blew that. With unfermented and unfiltered apple cider aged over a period of months. And the Eve Cidery, it's a small family-run orchard, and they're located in Van Etten. That's package number 3. So you got the Angry Mom and Autumn Leaves, or you got the International Fantastic Film Festival, or you've got the cider with a little bit of a kick. So anyhow, the other thing you need to know is that you donate more than $60, you're eligible for a T-shirt and a tote bag. Mm. And you can find what they look like online at our website. And you can make credit card donations at WRFI.org. If you use use the website, please call us and tell us what your pledge is. And we'll put you in the running for those wonderful gifts. Okay. So, we have, about 5 minutes or so. What would you like to talk about?
Whew.
Okay, now.
Not, the history of racism across all of America in 5 minutes?
No, it's a long, long history. I'm really glad you touched on the slave trade. Sam Anderson wrote a book that I used to, if you were in trouble, you were doing something wrong in a class and you had to be in my office, this is the book that you read the first time, and it was the Black Holocaust for Beginners. And Sam Anderson was a Black Panther that got his doctorate in mathematics and taught at Medgar Evers College. And the book is incredible. The graphics are done by Black students from Cooper Union, and it's not just a piece of art, but he gets into the economics. That was the first time I ever thought about capitalism in terms of the slave trade. But there wasn't capitalism really before the slave trade. The commodity of people from Africa became the basis for capitalism. Yes.
Can I just follow that up? Yeah. Over the summer, I read this book called The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson, and it's amazing. It's like her life's work. She's interviewed like 5,000 migrants who moved up, who are former shareholders. But anyway, a lot of that book is about these things that I wouldn't necessarily think about, and we talk about in the play a little bit, the long-term impacts of certain things. Like when all the sharecroppers moved to the north, they got put in the crappiest houses and the crappiest jobs because people didn't want them. So she talks a lot about fast forward 100 years, and you see what that's done to housing in certain neighborhoods. But I just hadn't ever thought of it as that. I was like, oh, this is cause and effect, but it's way back, way back cause and effect.
It's
I was agreeing
Okay.
with the way back cause and effect.
Yeah, well,
and in the play we go way back too.
Well, the thing with Sam and the people that worked with him on the book was they went into the number, trying to estimate the number of slave ships that left. And if that's an accurate number, then probably somewhere between 40 and 50 million people perished in the process of being taken from their villages and getting to the United States. 40 to 50 million people. That isn't something you find in Texas state textbooks. What you find in McGraw-Hill says that they were simply agricultural workers.
Yeah, they were just hanging out.
Thanks to McGraw-Hill that I'm going to start a boycott against that corporation one of these days. But our kids don't know about that. That's all part of it. And it's especially important I really feel that everybody should know what their roots are.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been rereading Lies my teacher taught me. Because I had a sociology teacher in my undergraduate way back when who recommended it, so I bought it, and I read it once, and it made me angry, but I lost a lot of the details because it's been a long time. So after doing this play, I wanted to reread it because it's like, oh, yeah, there's so much that we're not taught, or we're taught completely the Eurocentric, whitewashed myth hero version. And I was rereading the part about Columbus and, how slavery and the planting the seeds of racism for later actually could have been traced back to him sending Native American bodies back to Spain, and that sort of, introducing
long term,
different color ideas to Europe, starting to see race. So it's just, again, it's like the long term, but knowing where this comes from, and that's something that I hope that, people take away from this show is, again, it's peeling the onion, because there are moments that as a white person, I don't know that this is part of the upbringing of being someone of color, is having like a lecture. Like we used to talk about our fire plan, what we're going to do when we exit the house, that, families of color have to do that about police run-ins. Like I didn't know that was like a thing. So anyway, it's like, it's the peeling back the onion. It's planting the seed, like wanting to know more. This sort of taps the iceberg. It's very deep, but there's so much, more for each individual to go out and learn for themselves.
Yeah, like we, one of the characters at one point is telling a story about Bacon's Rebellion, which is like something that, I maybe read 2 sentences about in high school. And I was a history nerd, so like, there were no sentences. And it's been interesting to talk to audience people, because like some people learn about Bacon's Rebellion in school. A lot of people don't. People who are homeschooling their kids do. But like, but it's this thing, like it's messing up the narrative that we all get taught in school. So people don't want to put it in. And like, we're talking about how like before slavery, when everyone was still in like indentured servant status, like those people got married and like had families and had communities, and race didn't matter because people hadn't. And like, that's just like not a thing that I definitely ever got taught in history class.
No.
It's not even in your radar, because you're like, oh, these people just came and they were slaves, and blah. But there were all these other more complex things that went into it.
Well, it gets right down to what tribe you were from in Africa. I think it's the Cromarty were kind of independent, fierce, and they found that they didn't make good slaves, so they became the basic group that went to Jamaica. So, and if you were a bad slave and were strong and had a strong personality, if they couldn't control you in Virginia or North Carolina or New York, they sent you to Louisiana, because they worked you to death in Louisiana. And there's all these sort of like little insights that we're totally unaware of.
We just skip ahead to the Civil War, because then it makes people sound better.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And they got their freedom. And we're still working on that, folks. Again, that's the beauty of the play. And it's, we could get into the politics of how police function in a lot of communities. But what's beauty about this is I think we're moving in the right direction. It's difficult. My favorite group to dislike is the PBA, because they're the hardest to get past. Like lynch down in New York City is a real stumbling block in terms of reform in the police department. What's happening in New York City is that we have majority Latino and black officers coming in now, the young kids, and they have their own PBAs. There's a Latino Officers Association and the Black Officers Association, and that's being felt finally. But it's really hard when your upper management still is old school. And that includes the black officers in the upper echelon.
I mean, but that's not just an issue with the police.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's going on at my alma mater right now, and in a lot of other places.
Yeah, we got about 1 minute. Ithaca College, what's next?
Well, we all got the whole alumni network got a pretty strong email a few weeks ago, where the president basically said that he didn't sound happy about it, but that he is postponing all these new projects to work on these issues that the people of color student group have brought up. So that's making me hopeful, but it seems like some people in power are dragging their feet about it. But I know, I mean, I went there. I have friends who are still there, and I have professors who I care about a lot who are still there. And everyone that I talk to thinks it needs to happen, all of these conversations. Yeah, so they're glad that they're happening.
One of my infrequent guests here is Fred Wilcox. And he's really clear, and he always has been really clear.
I mean,
he's not. They don't love Fred. Okay, there's the magic low D whistle. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you so much for coming in today. This was fun. This was just fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Okay, get out your pen and pencil and be ready to call 607-319-5445.
WRFI Watkins, Glen,
5445.
Community Radio for Tompkins and Schuyler counties. You're hearing us at 88.1 FM in Ithaca, 91.9 FM in Watkins, Glen, and streaming worldwide at WRFI.org. Visit WRFI.org to give us feedback, see our schedule, and to find out how you can support us.